What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. We'll break down what's happening with the overall market thus far, what's going on with other factors involving different stocks out there, and what you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Weeble and deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. Deposit $25,000 more, you're guaranteed 75 of them. And the offer ends in just about 8 days. Anyways, for the market, we're seeing an attempt to bounce right now on SPY, on the QQQ, and other tickers out there. But some stocks like Tesla are looking very weak as they have bad news. So let's break down how things are looking. So with the whole situation involving Israel and Iran, like I said in my video from yesterday, things are easing a bit because Iran is not talking as much about attacking Israel back. And the two countries have been attacking each other back and forth, obviously. But what's good is Iran is finally saying that they already demonstrated their power, and they're not really talking as much about attacking back. So the situation is kind of easing a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily say that we're out of the water just yet, but I can say that so far there has been a little bit of a change, and this is a little bit more positive for the markets. Now, we have some news that came out. Firstly, I'm going to start from the top. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite and all these indices have been dropping very hard for the last couple of weeks, and now finally we're starting to see an attempt to bounce. We'll have to see if that ends up holding. So I'll break down some key levels. It's also a very, very big week for the stock market as we have huge earnings coming out. Don't forget we have big earnings such as like Meta, Tesla, GM, not to mention others out there like Microsoft and Alphabet. So big earnings for the week, especially between Tuesday and Thursday. Tesla is down very hard because we had some big price cuts, unfortunately, in China, in Germany, in the USA, and countries all over the world. I'll talk about that in just a minute in more details. And then we also have Bitcoin's network basically completing its fourth halving. This was very, very important, which leads to the rewards to miners being reduced to about 3.125 from 6.25. The price of Bitcoin was very volatile leading up to the event, but more gains are expected as a result of this. So that's what's making the main headlines so far. When it comes to more news, today is Monday. We have the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions coming out at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll have to see how this affects the markets. The Chicago data is not as significant, so we'll watch for the bill auctions at 11:30. That's going to cause some volatility. For earnings, this is what our calendar looks like, by the way. And if you guys want to take a screenshot, you could. But excuse me, let me just say that for today specifically, we have Verizon announcing their earnings. It just came out. Verizon reports fewer quarterly subscriber losses on a flexible plan. It basically lost about 68,000 subscribers so far, compared to what the estimate was showing of a loss of about 100,000 of them. There's actually other sources were saying a loss of 127,000 were shown for the first quarter of 2023. So the loss wasn't as bad. And what else is quite decent is the fact that their overall revenue is about $33 billion. That is actually not bad, and that's very close to expectations. And then their EPS was better than expected with a profit of $1.15 per share. Their EPS didn't really give us a whole lot of projections for the future. I didn't see too much come out for guidance, but because their overall earnings were not bad, not as bad as expected, the share price is up so far. Now we have some negative news for Tesla. Tesla's sales are actually looking worse than 2023 so far. We actually have data over here showing the quarter is down 25% and minus 59% versus what we saw during their best quarter. And also, they're down about 9% year over year. So looking like weak sales for Tesla in China, also in Germany and other countries around the world. So they're cutting prices big time here. The details. The Model 3 is cut by about $2,000 in China. In Germany, they cut the Model 3 RWD by about 2,000 euros. That's a pretty big cut. More cuts in the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. And also, they cut the prices of the Model X, S, and Y in the USA by $2,000. So that's some bad news. They also announced that they're going to be slashing the price of their FSD Assist software to about $8,000. They slashed it by a third. That is pretty important. 8,000 used to be 12,000. So Tesla's very, very weak because of that. I want to make that very, very clear. Let's go over some levels very, very quickly. Tesla has to hold 140. It's barely holding this, and Tesla's looking very weak while SPY is trying to bounce. If we lose 140, we're going to be sinking all the way down to 138 and 136. If we hold 140, look for 142.25. If that breaks, look for 143.77. If that breaks, look for that gap fill all the way up towards 146. But the share price is looking bearish on Tesla. There's a risk of this dipping lower into the high 130s. If we lose 140 and we're just barely holding that, so there's a risk of downside on Tesla coming all the way down to 138, if not 136 if 140 breaks. For SPY, we have support at basically 497.5 to 20 EMA. And if that fails us, if we lose support at 497, look for this gap fill all the way down to about 494.7. If we keep pushing, look at resistance around 500. If that breaks, we have 502 plus coming. So there is going to likely be an attempt to balance right over here. I do see potential in SPY to try to do so, but remember what I said yesterday, we need to see a change in market structure. So what I meant by that is, if you look at this trend, right, and this applies for Tesla and the others out there too, you have this high, right? We came down here, maybe this lower low, lower high, lower low. That's what SPY has been doing this whole time. See how it's been bearish for the last couple of trading days, even the last few weeks. Just look at the trend. It's been just making lower highs, lower lows this entire time. So now we want to see if this thing could shift. If we lose 497, yes, we're going to turn back to bearish. If we continue to hold above it, we could turn back to bullish. To be bullish, you want to see this. You want to see this low over here around 493 to 494 hold. 493 is key support. If we push like this, make a lower high. If we make that's going to be okay. If we establish a higher low, that's going to be completely fine. We want this higher low to hold over here. If we hold this, then we could start to shoot higher. This could be a change in market structure, and we could turn back to bullish if we end up doing this. So to get this counter trend balance, you want to see this thing get back above 500 at the very least and hold that. I think it's going to attempt to get there, so look for a push. But will SPY hold? That's going to be the question. There is potential for it to push to 500 and 502. For the QQQ, watch 416 as key support. If we lose 416, we could reject and come down to fill this gap and start sinking into the 414s. If we break past the 20 EMA at 417.8, look for a push towards 420, followed by 422. So I do believe that there's potential for this to push higher towards 420 plus. But we have to break past 417.8. I think there's a very good chance we could attempt to do so. So I think that the QQ could push higher, but just to be safe, we have to try to break our 20 EMA. We have to try to get back above 420, and then that's going to be a big shift. In fact, it's not just 420. We want to get back above 422 to turn bullish, but for now, we're just going to focus on the 20 EMA. Can we get above 417.8? If so, we could push higher. So I'm seeing potential in that. Nvda is showing some potential as well. If we lose 767, look for a drop all the way down to fill this gap in the lower 760s. If we push high, you want to see it break the high of the pre-market 780. If that breaks, look for 789. If that breaks, look for 800. I do see potential in Nvidia to push higher, so watch for that. For Aapl, you guys can see right over here, this has potential to fill this imbalance all the way up towards 167. That's close to our 50 EMA. And if that breaks, we could push even higher. If we fail here, we could reject. If we lose 165, look for this gap to fill down here. But I see potential for this to go even higher and fill this imbalance and continue to go from here. For a few more out there, I just want to go over a couple more tickers just real quick for you guys during this pre-market session. For this is Coinbase, okay? It likes to bounce off this support. It's very simple. That's this 208 area. If we hold the support, look for this push up above 218. If we break 218 on Coinbase, we could be pushing all the way up to about 224. There is potential in this, but we have to try to break past 218 and hold. If we hold above 218, then we could do it. We're not really there yet, so we'll watch that for confirmation. For Amazon, we're actually trying to balance from here, holding 174 support. Look at resistance at 178.5. If we break this, we're going all the way up to 181.76. At least 180 is coming if we break past 178. So watch 178.4 as our resistance. If Amazon can break this, we could turn back even higher. And then for Meta, it's looking like it's trying to push higher. Look for 493 is our resistance. We're back within the channel that we've been in. If it breaks 493, look for a push all the way up, back up to 502. There is potential in this chart. But if we lose support at 482, we're going to be sinking down to fill this gap around 478. So just be careful, but I'm seeing some life in the markets. I'm seeing potential for a bounce and everything. I just want to note that Tesla's looking kind of weak right now. Make sure you watch that support. Tesla's looking a little lackluster, so we'll have to see how it does from here. With that being said, I want to say I really appreciate everyone Please take care, guys. Do what you have to do, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one in about an hour and a half from now. All right. Thank you for listening. Get ready, guys. Watch your levels, and peace out.